So South Africa is forced to put up with load shedding a little longer as Eskom extends stage 4 until Wednesday. The power cuts will be implemented from 5 a.m. till midnight. This time around, Eskom is attributing the load shedding to what it describes as an unprotected strike by some workers. But what can non-governmental entities and individuals do to try to find solutions to this electricity crisis? It's a question we've asked before. Let's try to see if we can get any more answers with OUTA's Chief Executive, Duvenage, who joins us via our video link this morning. Wayne, always great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for making time. I want to begin, perhaps, if I can, with just, making sense of where we are, at least if Eskom's version of events are anything to go by. They're saying that the load shedding as it stands at stage 4 is something that was essentially a crisis created by the strike that's taking place. That led to a debate around who South Africans should be disgruntled at. An SOE that's always struggled to supply energy, or these staff members who obviously have what many might describe as legitimate concerns, but essentially holding the country ransom, as some may put it, with the strike.
Yeah, look, it's a multifaceted challenge and problem, and I think if we look back at why we are in this position, it is because of poor planning, poor management, poor maintenance for many years of our electricity grid and our power stations. So if you throw in a labour dispute into the mix right now, where we are short of capacity, we're only running at about 60% of capacity of our full 58 gigawatts. As stuff goes down for planned maintenance and then outages and breakages that happen, any maintenance that comes to a grinding halt now with labourers and workers on strike is going to exacerbate the problem and is going to force the parastatal to put itself into a higher stage of load shedding so that it can consume or conserve, its stockpiles and so forth, so that it is able to provide some semblance of output. Otherwise, you just don't want to get into a full blackout situation.
Yeah, that's what we're told we should try and avoid at any cost. I wonder, though, whether there's any telling what the week ahead might look like. We already know that stage 4 load shedding is with us until at least Wednesday, but if history is anything to go by, even in the absence of a strike, things can get really bad very quickly.
Yeah, they can, which is why we need to move fast in this introducing independent power producers into the grid. The days of relying on Eskom to be the sole providers of energy is long gone now, and we've taken far too long to enable or allow the IPPs to come on board. And had we done so years ago, I mean, this lift from 1 gigawatt to 100 megawatts, 1 to 100 megawatts is just not enough. They should be increasing that without a license to 1,000 megawatts. But we see this is happening now with Eskom selling off parts of its land around its power stations where the grid is easy to connect to, but they need to move a lot faster, because that's going to probably only bring on board about 1,400 megawatts. We need a lot more than that, 10,000 megawatts in the next few years, and it can be done through this privatization, through inviting and bringing private energy suppliers onto the grid, and it's going to be through renewable energy. I think around the world we've seen that renewables have grown over 250% than in the past. So we've got a lot of work to do.
And because of that, we're also told renewables have become a whole lot more affordable than they used to be. What does that tell us about the level of involvement that can take place at a household level? Because the concern, of course, now is that a lot of people are quickly becoming frustrated, if not frustrated already, and asking themselves what they can do in their own capacity.
Well, I think the first thing is to consume less and make sure that you've converted to energy efficient lighting and if you've got the funds. And this is the sad reality, is that most people just do not have the funds to put solar power and battery storage capacity into their homes. It's very costly, but I think if you were building a house right now and you were not building that off-grid, or a factory or a business, and you were not building it completely off-grid, then you'd want to be asking your designers and your builders and your architects as to why not. But that's not going to relieve the problem right now. We have to live with this, sadly, for some time until the pressure on the grid is relieved, and that's only going to be relieved if we can get big business, big industry, mining, and private players to come into the market.
Yeah. How attractive, though, is South Africa's energy grid to the private sector, given the many problems that bedevil it? And some of those problems have to do with, for instance, threats posed by criminality to infrastructure.
Yeah, look, the decision to split Eskom into the three components and to have the transmission managed separately, that's going to cost, and we need to make sure that that is well maintained. But it is attractive. I think we've got a good network, a good grid. We've got a lot of land around these power stations, and we do get a lot of good sunlight. We also need to introduce battery power, and that is getting cheaper and cheaper, as we know, and then wind as well. We're along the coast where the wind doesn't really stop blowing in some areas. So I think if we plan it properly, there shouldn't be a problem, and we should be able to get our energy mix right so that we can avoid and alleviate ourselves from load shedding in the future. But it's going to take another few years.
Wayne Duvenage, thanks very much indeed for weighing in at this point. Really do appreciate your time and insights. Wayne is, of course, the Chief Executive at the organization and doing tax abuse. Once again, thanks very much indeed.